Greetings, all Shardvixen, and this is my vlog, but it's late. Today's Sunday, not Saturday, but it is June 25th, and the title is Socialism, Capitalism, Capitalism, Socialism. Actually, I think it's Capitalism, Socialism. So that's what I am. I am a socialist who believes in capitalism. But how is that possible? Well, it really is possible. Most people are like, that's not possible. But you have to remember that all political things, ideals like that, government concepts are theories. So somebody thought them up, wrote out stuff such as in Marxism and Lenin. They wrote their idea of what socialism was. Excuse me. I feel like I am cockeyed there, but I guess not. Okay. So, that being said, I believe in capitalists. I think people should make money. I just don't think people should make such outrageous amounts of money and then and use the poor to make that money. I think that there's a ceiling to how much you can make, and then you could share the wealth. And a lot of capitalists don't like that idea because they want it all for themselves. They remind me of Daffy Duck. I don't know if you've seen him, but you Google it, and there's a part where he runs around. He's always trying to get something, and then when he gets it, it's his. Like, mine, 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 mine. Or the seagulls in little Finding Nemo. Mine, 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 mine. That idea is kind of outdated, I think. I think we have so many people in the world that the idea that a few people can be really, really rich and then everybody else has to be freaking poor is kind of really not a great idea. Now, the reason capitalists buy into this fictional story, because all theories are fictional stories, because they're not something that is naturally bound. They're things that human beings have created in their heads. They're not part of the natural order. People like to say they are, but they're not. Natural order is like instinct stuff. That's how do I keep myself safe? How do I keep myself fed? How do I make more of me? Because that's important. And how do I make sure that no one else either takes from me or that no one kills the more of me? So kills my family and stuff like that. Those are all instinctive stuff. I feel like I'm a little off camera here, so let's twist that a little bit. My back's really bothering me, so I'm not seeing so well, and the heat's just like, and I used to love the heat. Now I can't. My body doesn't regulate temperature well. So, all right. So, because of that, socialism. Okay, there are many types of socialism. Fascism is a type of socialism. Okay, Nazism was a type of socialism. People are deadly of fear in the United States of socialists because they're thinking of communists. They're not thinking of socialism. Socialism is the idea that everyone shares, but it's not like you can't be rich and share. I mean, if you're making $1 million, sharing, let's say $100 a month, if you made $1 million a year, sharing $100 a month would equal out to $1,200. That's kind of a drop in a bucket if you thought about it. But Shardvixen, it isn't like that. No, it's not. But if it was that way, you could set up a pre-existing government and create it that way. The problem is greed becomes an issue. And if anybody's saying that's not the case, it is. Because if you thought about how much you needed to be happy to live, not be happy like be happy, but to live, just to live comfortably, it would not be $1 million a year. $1 million a year would be nice. Sure, I'm not going to stick my nose up it because I am a capitalist. And I do like the idea of all those unneedful things, okay? But when we talk about things that you have to have, food, shelter, water, energy, those kind of things, it's not really something that you have to pay $1 million a year for. Unless you're living in, I guess, an island all of your own. We'd have to ask Bill Gates about that. And yes, Bill Gates does a lot of charity. And yes, a lot of companies do a lot of charity. I get that. But what if we had a government that was set up so that charity wouldn't be needed? That's the idea behind socialism. Socialism is the idea that everyone has a place in society. And everybody has... Sorry, my dog's barking for some reason. Oh, the cat and her are having a conversation. So I am sorry about that. I'll try to edit that out. Everybody has a place. Okay, everybody is taking care of those that can't take care of themselves, and we say here in the United States, oh, there's people that are lazy and people like that. No, there are people who can't take care of themselves. There's a reason why you can't do something sometimes. Hang on. Okay, I'm back, but my dog is knocking my camera around now. She's just in a mood, I guess. She's not my dog. She's my daughter's dog. Oh, we're bouncing. We're bouncing. No, stop. Go away. Ah! All right, so what was I talking about? Socialism, capitalist. It's kind of like being, I used to say I'm a militant hippie. People are like, what's that mean? Well, it means that I'm not a pacifist. I believe in love. I believe in great things. I believe that people, if we show the good will come out. But then there are some people that just make horrific choices no matter what. And so those people sometimes need violence. Violent means to curb them of their choices. So therefore, I'm not a pacifist. I do believe that violence is needed at times, though it has to be a controlled thing. I believe that, so, as far as capitalist socialism goes, people, like I said, get very confused. Even here in the United States. The reason that I believe we ended up with Donald Trump, not only because they didn't want to vote a woman in, but I wouldn't have voted Hillary in either, because I don't vote for somebody just by their gender. But also because, and she's not a very nice person, I don't think. Is also because they were afraid of Bernie Sanders and his ideas of socialism. But what they didn't understand is that Bernie Sanders came from the 60s and the 70s with this ideal of making the world a more even, equal place. So that's that socialism that I talk about. Because I also come from that time period. I'm not as old as him, I don't think. But by the time I got into college, that was what we thought about. We thought about how can we change the world in a way that those who cannot help themselves would be helped by those who could. The problem is a lot of people, like I said, when you think of socialism, they think of communism, and the Russians have been our enemies for a very, very long time, except when they need to be our allies. And we've looked at things, we've looked away from things that they have done that are not very nice to help us deal with other socialists, like Nazism, which is actually a fascist socialist government. It started out as a socialist government and then became a fascist government. And you say, Shardvixen, what is the difference? Well, I will have this little piece, and I was going to animate it for you guys. I thought of this really cute animation. Instead, I got this thing from Dear Ann Landers, and if you don't know who she is, you Google her. She used to have a column, like Dear Abby, and you could write to her about questions, and she would answer those questions. It was from a time era when there was no internet, like she was Miss Google, I guess is how you could call her. A lot of people are all like, yeah, we want anarchy. The problem is anarchy can only exist for a brief period of time before someone else decides to take control. And usually from anarchy, you move into a fascism, socialist government. Because usually anarchy creates so much chaos in the environment that a militant thing has to happen to bring control so people are safe. Again, socialism is about, taking care of each other. That's what socialism is about. It's society. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the workers, as in Lenin, like talked about, or some certain types of other things like that. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. It happens sometimes. It's a scary thing for America because it's been drilled in their head that, socialists are going to come over and take all your money. But a government could be created, a socialist style government could be created. I have a couple that I have created in theory because, one, it was required of me in school. You had to create you know, if you picked a side in political theory, you had to then support your political theory. And so I always picked, well, I didn't always, sometimes it was given to me. I had, you know, socialism was one. Capitalism was another one I was given because I didn't really understand the whole concept of capitalism. But capitalism isn't, I don't think it's a political theory. I think democracy is our political theory in the United States. I think capitalism is a way of is a way for your society to live and work and grow. I don't think that it's a healthy one because it has, well, at least not here in America. I think that it has been pushed to a point where it's all about, you know, like I said, it's all about greed. Our own government had created a law against monopolies, and we don't even cover those anymore because there's so many companies out there now that own so many sister and umbrella companies and daughter companies, and I don't know why they genderize them, but there's so many of them out there that if you trace them through, you'll find out that they're owned by the same one company. And that technically, the only reason it's not a monopoly is because they allow each of the different companies to charge different prices, thus creating fair market. But the problem is that it's only one company making the money in the long run. It's all trickling down upwards to one big giant company. And that's kind of a problem because whoever owns that one big giant company is in that upper percentile that's got everything. You know, they have the power that the rest of us don't have. And I think that is probably the one thing that American people would like the most. They would like the power that they don't have. The power in speech, the power in political, the power in taking care of their family, the power in doing whatever they want. You know, it's an interesting, because that's the kind of the people that came to America. That was the goal that drove them, was the freedom and the power. The freedom to do as they wish and the power to do as they wish. So I do believe in capitalism, like I said, and I do believe in socialism. I'm probably not well liked by many people when they think about this, because they're going to be all like, oh, you socialist, you know. But I've lived 52 years. I remember politics in my household since I was a kid. I remember people saying, kind of like your king and your queen, if your president said this is the way it was. But then in the 60s and the 70s, things started to change. I was born in the 60s, but by the 70s, there was that whole thing that you had to question things. And I've always questioned the idea of why would you want to live in a country where children can die because they're not fed, they're not given enough to eat. People can die, old people can die because they're not getting the medications they need. I think that is a scary place, and it runs more into a fascism or an imperialism, like an empire where only the privileged people are the ones that are benefiting from the country. Yes, here in America, I'm better off than a lot of people are in other countries, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't change it. It doesn't mean we shouldn't try to get it as a world fact. Anyway, so that's my opinion. I don't care if you are completely a capitalist. I don't care if you believe in imperialism. I don't really care if you believe in fascism. Everything has kind of a proper place in the evolution of societies. And if you want to keep fascism out of places, then you need to bring people up to understand that power is not necessarily the end of all ends. That if we share the power, we'll do better. All right, so I'm out of here. Catch you all on the flip side. Peace.